Welcome back to yet another week of our Fearless Immunity Masterclass series. This is the final week, actually, right? So this week we get to talk a little bit about fitness, which is not something that we always get to focus on, or it always feels like at the end of a workshop we're rushing through fitness a little bit. So this will be a good 30 minutes to spend not only on fitness, but the effect that fitness has on the rest of your body, and also all the research that is now showing that the people who practice good fitness habits are the ones that are absolutely proving to have the strongest immune system. So it all ties back into what this whole series is about, is that we're trying to build a fearless immune system, and fitness is a great way to kind of build up the armor to it, okay? So recap from last week, Dr. Liz did it all by herself, so I'll let her recap it a little bit.
I didn't so much focus on nutrition, but I focused heavily on detoxification. And anybody who knows me knows that I kind of tend to think like all over the place. So it was a good workshop, but there's just so much information as it relates to detox. So I will also say that detox is easily the most overwhelming essential, but in my opinion, it's also the easiest because you're really just making a lateral shift from using one type of product to another product. So when you're ready to implement that next step in your health, I think detox is a really great place to start. So go check that workshop out and let me know if you have any follow-up questions from that.
All right, so the reason why we always have to talk about fitness is because outside of course, the power of your nervous system, which is helped through chiropractic care, and what you put into your body through nutrition, the next greatest way to build your health is to maximize its potential by making sure it's moving properly. And it's not just movement for the sake of movement. Yes, movement is good for strength. Yes, movement is good for mobility. Yes, it's good to keep your joints young, but what we also know about movement and the effect that it has on just about every system in your body is that it's so important to normalizing homeostasis and keeping your body. We were designed as humans to move. That's as simple as that. And when we get into a sedentary lifestyle, which is very easy to do because of the workplaces that we've established for ourselves, it's a lot of people are sitting at desks, a lot of people are having those sedentary jobs. So you have to find a way to build that as part of your personal life if it's not included as your work. Back before we had job titles, everybody had to have physical activity because either you were a hunter or gatherer, you were a farmer, you were a shepherd, you were a hunter, or whatever it was, it required physical activity. And if you look at some of the healthiest countries and the healthiest regions that we have here in the world today, a lot of them are what we would call like agricultural focused cultures, meaning they're still out plowing fields by hand or using, tools every day to help prepare food for not only themselves, but for the entire village. So obviously here in America, that's really not the case anymore, except for you farmers out there, which I grew up in a farming community. So I know it takes a lot of hard work for you guys. So, and then of course, there's a lot of other jobs that would fall under that category too, like construction work and engineering or not engineering, but anybody who's working in that field, it's going to obviously be a more physically demanding job. But if you didn't know, 2 out of 3 Americans are now considered overweight or obese. I think it's more than 2 out of 3 now. But one of the biggest concern that we have is that we're not expending the calories and the energy that we're consuming every day. And that's what it really comes down to. And that's why Dr. Liz and I will always talk about calories in the sense that we don't want you to be calorie counters, but it's definitely worthwhile to look at energy expenditure versus energy consumption. And that's why we never really knock it to say that it won't work, but it shouldn't be the only thing that you need to do when it comes to nutrition. And that's obviously counting calories. So we're eating about 23% more calories today than we did in 1970. 23% more calories today than back in 1970, which is now 50 years ago, if you can believe that. And the reason why that's significant is because also in that same period of time, we're actually getting less micro and macronutrients as well. Eating more calories, getting less nutrients. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, our nutrient density within our food is just not the same as it used to be.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for that, some of which we've talked about in previous workshops, so go check that out, of course. But we're getting sicker and sicker because of it. We're not moving, we're not oxygenating, we're not expending the energy that we build every day. So obviously obesity is defined as having a BMI of over 30. So when we look at this, this slide says that obesity can increase your risk of 60 chronic illnesses. I honestly, that's probably undershooting it. It probably affects every known chronic illness that we know, every chronic illness known by man. So to say 60, there's definitely more than 60 chronic illnesses in the world. So, but the big ones are obviously diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancer, certainly your immune system, upper respiratory infections. We know that year after year, the more obese you are, the more you increase your risk of having the common cold even. So just something as simple as that. So developing a good fitness plan, yes, it can be overwhelming, it can be challenging, it can be difficult, but if you can be specific, we can help you to achieve your fitness goals. So, and that's going to help not only you feel better and look better, but it's also going to help you reduce your risk of getting these chronic illnesses.
At the end of this, towards the end anyways, we have a really cool formula that we'll give you guys to maximize results.
And as always, it's always about the 5 essentials. And one of those essentials is obviously developing a fitness plan. So really when we talk about fitness, we're always talking about oxygen. That's what it comes down to, because every cell in your body functions better when it's properly oxygenated. And a great way to improve your blood oxygen levels, which is in turn going to increase your cellular oxygen levels, is to exercise. When you're breathing harder and you're breathing faster, you're taking in more O2, you're getting rid of more carbon dioxide, the bad stuff, and obviously that's going to help every cell increase and maximize their oxygen. It's also been shown that cancer cannot live in an oxygen-rich environment. And I won't say that that's every type of cancer, but most types of cancers don't do well in an oxygen-rich environment. So the best way to maximize your workouts and get the most out of them is what we call short duration, high intensity exercise. You can look at that, and there are literally probably within that definition 5 or 6 different ways you can accomplish these same goals. But if you find yourself having to go to the gym and lug yourself around for 2 hours, and even at the end of that 2 hours, you still, you're sore because you might have worked a specific muscle group, or you're sore because it was leg day, or whatever it might be, that's not going to help necessarily build O2 levels or increase O2 levels in the blood, which is not what we're talking about. So not saying that that type of working out is not beneficial. I practice that myself, but you also need to add in cardiovascular high intensity exercises to increase your oxygen levels and stress out your cardiovascular system. So metabolic conditioning is another name for it. CrossFit does a great job of implementing this. Orange Theory Fitness does a great job of implementing this. High intensity interval training is something else you've probably heard us refer to it as. It's all saying the same thing, that you have to get your cardiovascular rate up in order to accomplish these goals. That's where fat burning happens. That's where hormone balancing happens the most. So this is kind of what it looks like. This is the difference between like a 1-hour workout and a 12-hour workout. Now, I do know people who are fit.
12 hours or 12 minutes?
12 minutes. Sorry, did I say hours?
Yeah.
If you're doing 12-hour workouts, great.
Don't do that.
Marathon runners do it all the time.
But they're saying marathons they're not even good for you.
They're not good for you.
So I want to explain that a little bit more. Okay, so when we do these, so Dr. Xavier's talking about metabolic conditioning, high intensity, short duration exercise has been shown to be the most effective to balance your hormones, to lose weight, to gain muscle, to reduce your stress levels, to help you age slower, versus the long duration, low intensity. Think about back to hunter-gatherer days, as Dr. Xavier was talking about. Well, what happens is your body goes into this zone where it thinks that you're hunting for your next meal, because that's what had to happen. You had to go on this really long hunt. Sometimes you would be working for days without food. And so your body thinks, okay, I'm going on my next hunt for food. I don't know when I'm going to get to eat next. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang on to all of my fat, because I don't know when my next meal is coming. So these people who do these long marathon runs, they actually will end up, your cortisol levels rise, which is your stress hormone, and oftentimes they'll end up hanging on specifically to belly fat. Or we see a lot of these people are what's called skinny fat, meaning they look really skinny, but ultimately on the inside, they're not healthy and they don't have a lot of muscle. Now, I'm not saying that running a marathon is a bad thing short term, but long term, it would be more beneficial during that run. You're going to want to sprint for a little bit and then walk for a little bit, sprint for a little bit, walk for a little bit, because that's how you're going to be doing that high intensity, short duration. So if running is your thing, great. You just need to vary your tempo. Or
get a whole nother workout in on top of it. Like, you can always go out and run leisurely. You're going to burn a lot of calories. Certainly good for heart health, but it's bad for, like Dr. Liz was saying, for hormones, especially adrenal hormones. But if you know you're fall in that category and that's something you enjoy to do, well, that's fine. There's still a way to come home from that and have enough energy to do another quick 12-minute workout, because you can see the effect that this has. The 12-minute workout, you can see in the chart, it kind of spreads out the amount of metabolic burn that you get after a workout. Whereas if you're doing low intensity, like jogging or rowing or anything that's low intensity, I guess I don't know, but running specifically, your metabolic burn dies off really fast. So what we're looking for is a short burst, get the heart rate up, and then let the body take care of itself after that. That's what metabolic conditioning is. So Max T3 is a great way to do that. If you've been a patient in our office for a while, I'm sure you've heard it. Maybe you haven't checked it out yet. It's not for everybody. Dr. Liz and I do it on days when we don't have enough time to get to the gym, because it is a type of workout that you can get in the home very easily. Most of the time it's designed with body weight in mind, but certainly there can be sometimes minimal equipment that they use in the video, but they always kind of give you options. But Dr. Liz and I would say primarily we're CrossFitters, but in that CrossFit, our focus is always on the metabolic conditioning part of it. We call it the Metcon in CrossFit, which is just short for metabolic
So
conditioning.
Max T3 is given to every practice member of ours. It's a little bookmark. It's a digital download. It's online workouts. So you just go to maxt3.com and you type in your code. So your code is on the bookmark. We tuck it in your Align Your Health book, and you have 12-minute a day exercises. And you wouldn't think that 12 minutes is hard, but it kicks your butt. So there's modifications for people who have bad knees or whatever it might be. But we always recommend starting with the lower intensity, because we've had so many people go all out and come back and they're like, I couldn't even walk through the grocery store. I don't ever want to do that again. So we say, I don't care what your fitness level is, start low, because these workouts, they're amazing. And you can modify them if you're not ready to go all out yet. So time cannot be the excuse, because these are 12 minutes.
Yeah, so for the people out there who are thinking one of two things is that if I do these 12-minute workouts, if you're a bodybuilder or if you're one of those long endurance athletes that likes to run, you would think that, well, then I've got to sacrifice building muscle, or I've got to sacrifice my cardiovascular health to replace it with these short intensity workouts. And I'll tell you two stories. One is that anybody who focuses on this metabolic conditioning, if you want to build muscle, this is probably the most efficient way to do it. Now, you could definitely go to the gym and grind out a 2-hour upper body or lower body workout and build and shred a lot of muscle. But as far as efficiency goes, these 12 minutes is going to help you a lot long term. Just look at CrossFitters. I mean, all they do all day long is Metcon after Metcon after Metcon. And most of them are doing 2 or 3 a day to compete at a high level. And they're some of the most shredded people I've ever seen in my life. So, and then on the other end of that, people who are endurance athletes and want to still be able to run, sometimes they worry, well, Metcon's great, but there's no way I'm stressing myself out enough in 12 minutes that I can build cardiovascular endurance. And we had a friend who had been a CrossFitter for a very long time, and he went and decided he was going to run the half marathon downtown, and he didn't train for it at all. I mean, he
said, I'm just going to go do it.
He's like, I'm just going to go do it. And he didn't do anything outside of CrossFit. He was just doing CrossFit. He was doing probably 4 or 5 days a week. Yeah. And he went out and he ran I forget what it was.
It was good.
It was like an hour and 45-minute, 13 miles, which is crazy. So to think that you can't accomplish goals within this design of metabolic conditioning is just not true. You have to think about it. And if that's something you need help with, Dr. Liz and I would love to.
And it's okay if you're a beginner too. I know we're talking a lot about CrossFitters.
Yeah, well,
it should be geared more towards beginners.
Yeah, and the Max T3 is not CrossFit. It's not, I wouldn't compare anything close to CrossFit.
Right. Okay, sweat releases toxins.
Yeah, and this is something we have to talk about, because a lot of our other workshops have talked about how can you detox faster. And I think Dr. Liz and I always try to get fancy sometimes and say, yeah, take activated charcoal and spend a fortune on an infrared sauna and do all this and do all that.
Those things are great.
They're great. We love them. But honestly, one of the best ways to detox yourself faster is to sweat.
Yep.
And this high intensity interval training is going to be something that absolutely makes you sweat more than some people I've seen that run, and they're really good runners. I have a patient. He's what we call he's an ultra marathoner. So you have the marathon, which is 26 miles. He does on average somewhere between 53 and 72 mile marathons. It's like a whole day event. And he tries to do like one a month. And he goes out there and he can run 12 miles and he doesn't even work up a sweat. And I'm like, well, he's not detoxing very well. Luckily he's also a very healthy, conscious guy. So he's eating good foods and taking supplements and doing everything he's supposed to do.
So for me, as many of you know, Dr. Xavier and I do have an infrared sauna at home. And when I was a few years ago, when I was really stressed out, I would get into the sauna and I wouldn't start sweating until I was in there. Like we're talking 125 degrees. It would take me 30 minutes to start sweating. And Xavier basically walks in and he starts sweating. But when that happens, so for me, not sweating, that means that my nervous system was so messed up and so stressed out that my parasympathetic nervous system couldn't even activate to allow me to sweat and release those toxins. So that means I'm the person who needs to be in there more to get rid of those toxins. That's why this is why all natural cancer treatment centers, they have these infrared saunas. But even just exercise, you're going to be getting rid of the BPA from plastics. It's going to help you lose weight, right? Because you need to break, I talked all about this last week, break the toxic layer that's around every single fat cell. If you've hit weight loss resistance, if you've hit a plateau, well, it's time to detox, and sweating is the first step to detoxification. And then for the other steps, you can go listen to my workshop last week.
Yeah, and we had some good friends up in Michigan not Michigan, who am I thinking of? One of our good friends who are also chiropractors in a different city, they made it their goal. It was Janelle, right?
I don't know.
She made it her goal. She made it her goal for a year. She was going to find a way to work up a sweat every day.
Oh, sweat.
And it was Janelle. Yeah, so up in Michigan. So shout out to Janelle. But she did 365 days where every day she found something where she was going to work up a sweat. Now, that's not always going to the gym and getting a workout. Sometimes it's going outside and playing with your kids, and making sure you're doing it the right way to build up that sweat and cardiovascular workout too. So chiropractic is always at the core of everything that we talk about. So there are some really cool studies that talk about this, and I'll get into that in just a second. But it's really cool. There's one study that was done. I call it the one-arm study, and I think this ties a lot into the nervous system because stimulating your nervous system through exercise is also very important. And without stimulation of the nervous system, when you exercise, you're not going to build muscle. You're not going to burn fat. Like the nervous system is what helps with all that. So this really cool study, I call it the one-arm study because they had I think they had 100 participants practice and work out just one arm. So if they were lifting weights, doing bicep curls, they would only do their right arm. They wouldn't ever do anything with their left arm. And they did this for, I want to say it was for 12 weeks, but I can't remember exactly the amount of time they did it. It wasn't a super long period of time. But what they found is that even though they were only exercising one half of their upper body, is that their other arm, not only did it not lose strength, but it actually increased in strength. And they had absolutely no muscle atrophy. They actually measured like the thickness of their muscles before and after. They had no muscle atrophy, and they were actually stronger, even though for 12 weeks or whatever the study was, they didn't pick up a weight or touch a weight. So right arm was getting worked out, left arm was doing nothing for however long the study was. And even though the one muscles weren't even moving, they weren't working them out, they still had an increase in strength comparable to the one that they were working out. And I think that speaks volumes to the importance of the nervous system because that's what connects the right side of your body to the left side of your body. That's the only way it works. So if you're not stimulating the nervous system through exercise, it's not working.
So the point of the study was just to see like how nervous system function works?
No, the study wasn't designed to work with nervous system. That's the connection that I make to it.
Okay, so what was the point of the study?
All right, any questions?
No, I'm not. I think it's really cool. I'm like, cool. This is amazing. I don't understand.
Okay. All right, moving on. Kimberly has this question. What if you don't sweat, but you just overheat?
Yeah, all the more reason to get in a sauna, I would say. You
got to sweat. I mean, yes, overheat is good. Body temperature going up is good, but you definitely have to overheat. You have to overheat enough to where you're sweating. And that could be, sometimes that's a toxicity problem. Your body, sometimes the cells don't perspire because you have too much toxic overload caking up around the cells and the sweat can't get out. So sometimes it's not a workout problem. It's something else you might have to address.
Yeah. Like our round of our detox, what's it called? Detox supplement. That would really help with that.
Yeah. All right. So obviously we've talked about the Merritt chart enough. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but when your spine is misaligned, it can lead to a lot of symptoms. And if you want to get the most out of your workouts, your spine has to be aligned to accomplish that. Your home care is kind of like a miniature exercise every single day when you do it at home. you're not going to be getting a sweat on with your home care, although maybe some of you do. But your home care is designed to get your body moving the way it's supposed to stimulate the nervous system, to allow your body to do what it's supposed to do. All right, mindset. You got to have the right mindset when preparing for these types of workouts. If you think one workout is going to be the end all be all and you're done, and you did it for 3 days straight or 4 days straight, this is something that you have to make an everyday part of your life. And not Dr. Liz, but I struggle with this a lot. I'll go through periods of time where I'm really into my fitness, but I've also noticed in my life I've had times where I neglect my fitness because I get busy and I tell myself I don't have time. Well, if you have the mindset of thinking that you don't have time to do it, then it's absolutely going to be the first excuse you use when the next workout comes up. So don't build yourself up with a weak mindset. Make sure you have the right mindset to begin with. And not only that, but when you are stressed out about it, we know that hinders a lot of the positive effects that you get from exercise, whether that's lowering your cortisol levels or the other stress hormones, releasing insulin, which is going to help with your blood sugar levels, energy, sleep. All of this stress inhibits that. So like I said, during periods of really high stress, whether that's stress that you're creating for yourself or stress that's coming from another aspect of life, a great thing to do is focus on your fitness and get a good workout in. You can't always change the mental and emotional side of stress, but you can control the physical side of it. And working out is a great way to break that up. Anything to add to that? No. Nutrition?
We already talked about nutrition.
Yeah, nutrition, I would say if you really want to dive into nutrition is to go back and look at the previous 2 or 3 workshops.
Well, I think the slides following, that's going to help.
So this is going to be focused a little bit on fasting because we always get a ton of questions on fasting and the importance that it is and how important it is.
I can talk about this.
Yeah.
So, okay, I talk about fasting with our practice members often, especially if you've hit the plateau with not only your fitness levels or your weight loss levels, but also if you've hit a plateau with your results from a chiropractic and pain aspect. So I talk all the time about a 10-day sugar detox, which ultimately is a fast. You're fasting from sugar. And during that, your body, like the first 3 to 4 days, it's literally a detox. So oftentimes you feel terrible, you'll have headaches, you'll have body aches like the flu. But then you get through that and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't felt this good in years. I haven't had this much energy in years. But also doing a complete fast for 24 hours or even a bone broth fast for 24 hours is an amazing reset, complete reset for your immune system, complete reset for your hormones. And the way I like to think about it is, okay, we are constantly bombarding our system with food all the time. We snack all day long. Me too. I'm totally guilty of this too. And think about our body has to use its energy expenditure to digest this food that we're constantly taking in. So if we stop doing that, if we stop taking food in, well, now our body can say, great, I don't have to use energy digesting that food. Now I can go work on repairing this. I can go work on healing this. And it's an amazing thing to do for your body. So once a month, doing a 24-hour complete water fast or a bone broth fast is absolutely can be incredible for your health. And for
your immune system specifically.
Yeah.
So you can fast for weight loss. There's also, we're going to get into some of this here in just a second. We're going to show you some ratios that you can use to implement fasting the right way and kind of what effects they're going to have. But there's all sorts of different reasons. There's people who fast for weight loss. I originally got into fasting because of weight loss. I've always been an intermittent faster, if that's a thing, although I like to kind of call it fasting mimicking. Because I never eat breakfast, almost never eat breakfast.
I'm bad about breakfast too.
It's just because, well, I know they say it's the most important meal of the day, but I've never woken up in my life and felt like, oh man, I better get some food in me or else I'm not going to be able to function today. So I've never just gotten into it. This was before I was into health. So I don't know that there is a health benefit to not eating breakfast every day, but I kind of get a little miniature fast every day of my life. But
intermittent fasting.
Yeah. And so I fast. That's how I got into it for weight loss, but you can get into fasting for a lot of different reasons. So there's a few different types. We're going to get into that. First one is intermittent fasting, which again, it's kind of a word I don't like the way that we kind of term it, because intermittent means that like you would think that you can get the same effect from a 6-hour fast as you do from a 12-hour fast. But the reason why that's significant is because some people will do, and I've seen programs like this where you'll do a 6-hour fast, eat for a small window, and then do another 6-hour fast. And like, that's your day. 6 hours isn't enough time to let your body kind of kick into ketosis. So what we know is that usually it's around the 12-hour mark. If your body's not storing up a bunch of excess sugar in the form of fat cells, that 12 hours is kind of the minimum threshold, but some people are up to like 16 or 18 hours for your body to truly kick into ketosis. So don't think that you can just take 4 hours off and call that an intermittent fast. That's not enough. So I like to call it like fasting mimicking if you're doing this type of thing, where overnight and early in the morning, if you're building up to that 16 to 18 hour window, that's when you're going to see things like the benefits that we talked about, which are improving insulin sensitivity, balancing your healthy hormones, weight loss, like all that stuff that we already talked about, anti-cancer benefits, and all the benefits that we talk about on a chronic level too. It's not just, you can't just fast for 6 hours a day and call that fasting. It's not the same thing.
Ideally, your eating window would be 6 hours within a day, right?
Yeah, I mean, some people do as little as like a 1 hour eating window every day. And that's kind of what this is, this 1 meal a day approach. I follow a guy on YouTube who, I don't know what, I forget how it's working out. I haven't checked up on him in a while, but he's been doing this diet program where he eats for 1 hour every day. But in that hour, he consumes like, some days he consumes like up to 10,000 calories.
What?
Now he's a fitness guy too, so he works out probably 2 or 3 times a day at least. So he's burning. I have no doubt in my mind he's burning the calories because this guy's pretty fit. Just looking at him. But this 1 meal a day approach is something else that some people. This is kind of closer to my approach to it. It's not necessarily 1 meal a day, but I have such a small eating window. It's usually 4 hours, I would say, total time that I'm eating. But the 1 meal a day thing can also work for you. It's just usually one big, healthy, nutrient-dense meal at a time. But that's what matters the most, is that when you have that meal, you're not filling yourself up with a bunch of feel-good, sugary foods or deep-fried foods, because, yes, that'll help you feel better and you'll feel satiated and you'll feel full, but that's going to kick you out of ketosis, and it's going to take the next time you fast for 16 hours, your body's not going to be able to catch up and kick back into ketosis, which is the whole reason why we fast in the first place, because that's where inflammation is decreased the most and you reduce your risk for a lot of chronic problems. So the 1 meal a day approach is definitely something. This kind of lays it out.
This is what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, this is the ratios that we were mentioning. So like, you don't have to fast every day of your life. I kind of naturally do it. Again, it's just something I do, but everybody's different. So if you know that you're going to struggle with this, you could start off with some of these simpler ratios. This kind of breaks your week down 7 days in a week. So you can do the 5-1-1 ratio, which is where you're doing 5 days of advanced plan, which is where you can pretty much eat everything except for high sugar foods and fruits and vegetables.
And starchy carbohydrates.
So you can still enjoy a steak. You can still enjoy chicken. You can still enjoy a lot of things on the advanced plan. It just cuts out the fruits that are highest in sugar, and it cuts out starchy carbohydrates. That's basically it, So you can do 5 days of that. You can do 1 day of core plan, which core plan is less advanced than the advanced plan, obviously. That's where you can add in some carbohydrates, just not the really bad ones. So this is all laid out in the book too. It gives you detailed step-by-steps of which.
The Align Your Health.
Yeah, Align Your Health, I'm sorry. And it tells you which ones would be considered a core plan food or core plan meal, and which one would be considered an advanced plan meal. And then you do 1 day of the OMAD, which is where you're only having 1 meal a day. So that's a great way to fast, where you're going to have at least 1 day a week where your body is going to drastically reduce inflammation. That's really good for you to start off with. The next ratio is the 4-2-1. You do 4 days of the advanced plan, 2 days of the core plan. So it allows you a little bit more freedom to get some of those carbs, which I know a lot of us are attached to. I eat carbs, for instance. I'm more of a core plan guy than I'm an advanced plan guy for sure. And then you do 1 day of that, where it's an OMAD day, where you're only having 1 meal a day.
So we tend to just try to just eat healthy. Like every day, we're doing our best. We're not perfect by any means to eat healthy. But a lot of people are like, I want a plan. It helps me to have a structure. Well, try this.
Yeah.
You'll have I guarantee you'll have incredible results with this.
Here's what I wouldn't do. And this is when I started looking at this in detail. This is something that popped in my head. And this shows you how much of a cheater I am. When I saw, 4 days of advanced plan, 2 days of core plan, I could probably swing that. And then I saw the one meal a day. I instantly thought, oh, that'll be my cheat day. That'll be when I go get a pizza, or that'll be when I go get a burger, or that'll be when I have some fries, like that'll be my cheat day. That OMAD day, that should be the healthiest eating day that you have, because you're only getting one meal. So you better make sure you're getting your healthy fats, you're getting your vitamins, you can supplement on this too. Don't feel like you can't take your supplements on this, but make sure you're getting as much nutrient density, which obviously pizza, cheeseburgers, and fries don't have a lot of nutrient density. So if you think like I do, just keep that in mind. Like, that's not your cheat day. If anything, I would say one of the core plan days would be the closest thing to a cheat. But if you have questions about that, like, how can I still enjoy foods and follow a plan like this? That's when you need to talk to Dr. Liz and I, or dive into the recipe section of your book, your Align Your Health book.
Yeah.
This is the keto bundle. So this is something Max Living has been working on. There's a lot of research going into this. Some really cool research actually into ways to kick your body into ketosis faster. I will say I've seen mixed bag of results when it comes to the actual research on supplements that are designed to kick you into ketosis faster. Some people swear by it, and the most prominent doctors that I know that talk about it on a regular basis and are actually into the research of it, we still don't have it figured out. Now, don't get me wrong. You definitely need MCT oil, and you definitely need electrolytes, and you definitely need enough healthy fats, or else your body will not ever get into ketosis. So these things are still beneficial, but I don't think we're at a point where you can say, yeah, even if I don't fast at all I have to do is take my keto bundle. The keto bundle is still really good for you. Don't get me wrong. But like, without fasting, you're probably not getting into ketosis with just supplements like this. There's a guy, I forget his name. This is what he's researched. He's a medical doctor. He researches this. He's only doing research on it. He's trying to create, the magic supplement that kicks you into ketosis without having to fast at all. I think that sounds great. Do I ever think it's going to get accomplished? No, but I'm following him very closely, because the research and the physiology that he's coming up with is showing us how important this ketosis model is, and to get your body out of inflammation and reduce the risk. He's looking at reducing the risk of cancer mostly. So really cool study. But yeah, all of these things, if you have questions about them specifically and how they can help you. I love the keto bars. Dr. Liz, you tried them. She didn't love them. I love them. I went through that box pretty quickly. I use them sometimes, like if I'm heading out the door and I didn't have time to get something to eat. Since I don't eat breakfast a lot, sometimes by the time I'm heading to the office on certain days, I do need something, but it's too early for lunch. I'll grab a bar because I know I can have it, get satiated, feel full, but not kick my body out of ketosis. So this is a great bundle to start off with if you're looking away. Question from Ken. I may have missed it, but do you have a printout of the plan you just showed? We can print out those ratios. But yeah, if you go back and watch this, you can.
There might be a handout.
I'm not sure. Look. But yeah, we can definitely print that out for you. That's no problem. If you're talking about the advanced plan versus the core plan, that's mostly outlined in your book, your Align Your Health book. If you don't have that Align Your Health book, talk to the front desk. They can get you one. We do sell them here. But if you want like a one-on-one consult, you just have to bring it up with Dr. Liz or myself so we can go through it in more detail for you.
Yeah.
Some other bundles. We have the weight loss bundle. There's a lot of different things in here. I'm not going to spend much time talking about it, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the last of our series. We don't have a recipe night.
Yeah, we're not doing a recipe
night. Not right now. Normally we would.
Yeah.
So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as always, we are here for continuous questions. Regardless of when you listen.
There is a really good, we're doing a charity drive. Is it okay to tell me about that? We're doing a charity drive, Operation Christmas Child, leading all the way up till, I'm guessing, through Thanksgiving, right?
No, it's like next week.
Next week. So the problem, we always do these charity drives, but they always need the donations earlier so that they have time to prepare them. We're doing a drive that's mostly, we're trying to do a financial drive to help out this Operation Christmas Child. So we're doing a new patient special for $54. That covers exam and any x-rays that we would have to take. With your $54 donation / exam / x-ray fee, the office, Middletown Family Chiropractic, is matching that, and we're donating for every patient that walks in the door, basically $108 for every patient that comes in. So it's a really great cause. They help out children around Christmas time who need help in a lot of different ways, have needs mostly, but also just bringing them joy as well. So we're looking forward to that. So if you guys have anybody who's been asking you, hey, how's your chiropractor, and they need to get in, this is a great time to get it checked out, because $54 is a heck of a deal, but also you're helping out a child. Okay. So thank you guys for attending, and hopefully we get to see you guys in person for a workshop very soon.
Yeah.